Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 45 of the Cross Media Show. Today's topic is the Cobra Kai Season 4 review. But before we get into our discussion, if you are listening on your favorite podcast service, feel free to give us a review so that way we can, help the algorithm and help us grow our audience. If you're watching this on YouTube, please consider dropping a like and a subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell for notifications for all of our amazing shows like the Penultimate Game Show, the Marvel Mondays Initiative, and Anime Nation. If you're watching this on Twitch and you have Amazon Prime, you have Prime Gaming, so you know what that means. You get one free sub to give out. We'd love if you gave it to us, but if not, it's all good. For those who don't know me, my name is Sensei Richey Stevens, and I'm your Lit RPG Master. But today, I'm leading this dojo. Joining me, he's a regular. He's got his own show. He's the host of Anime Nation, Sensei Ryan Smith. Ryan, how we doing today?
Doing good, doing good. Looks like I am the Danny LaRusso to your Johnny Lawrence today.
Dude, I'm rocking that Johnny Lawrence get up. I put this bandana on, and I was like, yeah, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. And
I talk all things Cobra Kai. Let's get into this.
All right. And our next guest is the Sensei of Steelbooks. He is someone who's very into the Matrix series and, of course, Cobra Kai. Joining us once again, Saj. Saj, how we doing today?
Doing well, man. I'm excited for this conversation about this new season. It's definitely going to be pretty intense for me, especially since I love the Cobra Kai series so much. So,
well, we're ready for all of the Cobra Kai talk. That's why we brought you.
And last but certainly not least, we got the master of all things JRPG and FGC, my boy, John. How's it going today, John?
It is going very well. You know, I love JRPGs and I love fighting games because they are basically animes that you can play. And you know what? Hot take. Cobra Kai is a live-action anime that just doesn't have an anime.
I can see it.
That's why I'm here, guys.
You're not wrong about that one.
I'm sure there's going to be some definite hot takes on this episode. I know I have one. I already posted on Twitter, but I'm going to say it.
And before I pass the reins over here to Sensei Richey, I'm going to just do some light housekeeping real quick. We got that Ruben has finally updated the schedule on the website. Every piece of content we're making this month and next is already scheduled out. Check every week at the penultimateconquest.com/stream to see what we'll be doing that week. Tomorrow's Penultimate Game Shows, I will be on that co-hosting, and we're reviewing Halo Infinite. Then the next day, we are doing Attack on Titan, final season, episode 1. It's going to be a good time throughout the next part of the week. And we're also looking for questions on the Halo campaign and Attack on Titan. So feel free to drop your thoughts on the film, game, anime, whatever we're talking about this week on our SpeakPipe at www.speakpipepenultimateconquest. And I hand the reins over to you, Richie. Let's get into this.
All right, we're going to dive right into this. So first off, we're going to start with our initial thoughts on the season overall. Did we like where the season went? Do we like the direction that it is going, and overall what took place within the season? So, Ryan, why don't you go ahead and start us off with that one?
I thought it was definitely a strong season, not the strongest season of Cobra Kai. I thought last season was a bit stronger, but definitely an enjoyable ride, and nothing in it that I really disliked. Just thought last season was a bit stronger.
Okay. I can agree and disagree with you a little bit, because I feel like this actually was the strongest season for me. We got to see a little bit more of the character development that I was wanting from last season. But I mean, with having that, I think it was a 2-year gap between season 2 and season 3 with just filming, because it went from YouTube over to Netflix. I just feel like bringing the characters back and getting the chemistry back and everything, it just felt a little more strong, in my opinion. But that's beside the point. Saj, what about you? What did you think of the season overall?
I thought the season was great. Definitely, like what Ryan said, it wasn't the strongest season for me. I think last season was a little bit more, lack for a better term, more hype. made me look forward to season 4 more. Season 4 kind of ended a little bit. I felt like I got robbed a little bit because Miguel just left instead of fighting Hawk. So it's hard to say, really, but definitely not the strongest season for me. But the fight choreography in this whole entire season was phenomenal. Like, you can tell that they really, really, really had to train for this. So
Oh yeah, the fight scenes in this were amazing.
yeah.
All right. And
So that's my take on it.
okay. John, what about you, my man? What did you think?
So the standard I use for Cobra Kai is unique because normally when I watch a show, I kind of watch 2 to 3 episodes at once, take a little break, kind of ruminate, marinate on it, and then if I'm feeling up to it, I'll go to the next episode, and sometimes I'll just do something else to kind of let it last and sort of take things piece by piece. With Cobra Kai, and this season is no different. Every single time I start an episode, just be like, yeah, I'll watch an episode of Cobra Kai. Next thing I know, I'm either halfway or just done with the show in one go. So season 4 is no different. I just was like ready, excited to start the show, started watching it, and I was hooked until the end. Personally, I think why I like this season is I feel like since season 2, because season 1 is pretty straightforward, like it ends at the All Valley. Since season 2, I cannot predict where the show is going to go or what it's going to do. It feels like they're constantly trying to make something more interesting and less predictable, and not in the like, this is an obvious character moment that we're going to take away because it's too obvious. No, it's like everything these characters do makes sense, but some of the outside events, like how the All Valley switches things around, feel like a good way to shake things up. So, but that was just me personally.
Okay. So since you brought up how you watched the show and everything and about like in the few episode increments, I'll do Ryan and then I'll do Saj. Did you guys watch it like all at once, or did you like have to break it up like John did?
For me, I watched it like half and half. Yeah, so that's what I usually do for the Cobra Kai seasons, or for a show I'm really into, just split it into half. So
Ryan, what about you?
When it dropped, I was right at the end of my quarantine grind, so I was just power watched all of it, because I had nothing else to do that day.
That's fair. I ended up watching it. I think I watched all but the last 2 episodes, right where the tournament started, is where I called it for me, because I had to go to work the next day and I was like, oh crap, I have to sleep because we've had a lot of down routes and I've been working like crazy. And I'm pretty sure my boss is ready to kill me.
The last 2 episodes were the one were the ones that had all the action in it. Like, that's where I was the most impressed with the show, because it was so intense during those 2 episodes. You didn't know who was going to win the All Valley, and how it was split into 3 skill sets at that point instead of just one big tournament. And all 3 of the teams just splitting up, and there was a lot going on that they had to conclude in the last 2 episodes.
We're going to talk about the All Valley, because I want to save a special part for that, just because I was actually really surprised, and that was probably one of my favorite parts of this season, was the twists that we got with the All Valley. It didn't play out like a classic 80s movie.
Did not.
So, but first, before we go into that, I just want to say that this season was awesome. I can't believe we're actually still getting Cobra Kai, because I thought that Cobra Kai was going to be done after the 3rd season. But holy shit.
We're getting more. Season 5.
We're getting more, and I can't wait. There was a theory going around for this that Terry Silver was going to be Miguel's father. Everyone was like, oh, do we think Terry Silver's Miguel's father? No.
That's
no,
a stretch,
I don't
man.
fucking want that. This is Star Wars theory crafting all over again. I don't want that.
Speaking of Terry Silver, dude, that guy is terrifying looking, man. He's just
Terry
like this
Silver
tall.
Looks good though, for his age and everything. Like him and John Kreese look fantastic, and I'm like, they look the
He
same.
looks good. He doesn't look dating Miguel's mom good. Like, there's definitely an age gap that would have made me suspicious if they were like, oh yeah, that is Miguel's dad. I'd be like,
At most, he'd be his grandpa.
yeah, I could see that maybe in some weird thing.
Fanfic.
But yeah, John Silver was because I know they teased him at the end of the last season. That was a big surprise for me. How big a part of the show he is. He essentially becomes like not a villain, like an anti-hero of sorts, because he is not like on Kreese's side, or he's loyal to Kreese, but he's also like doesn't believe in everything that Kreese believes, and that's a really interesting conflict to watch. Some of my favorite moments of this show are when Kreese and John Silver are like talking about their backstories in the war, and like how they've grown up since then and interacted since the last Karate Kid movies.
Yeah, I mean, what was I going to say? I think some of my favorite moments are when you see Terry Silver start to go insane a little bit. Like he does these really fucked up things, and you're just like, where the fuck did that come from? Oh my god! Like how he's beating the crap out of Stingray, and how that whole thing ended up being. It was just I was just like, dude, this guy is a madman, and he's terrifying.
Okay, so one thing that actually surprised me this season was the fact that Stingray came back, because he wasn't in season 3 at all.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Neither was Aisha, though.
Then he just kind of showed up, and I was like, oh, Stingray's back. We're getting.
I completely forgot who Stingray was for a good hot minute. I'll admit that. I'm like,
I love Stingray. For a while, he was like my favorite character, just because he's just like this middle-aged man-child that is just like way too excited about karate and hanging out with these kids. So I was happy to see him, and I'm glad that they used him just the right amount. They didn't like overdo it or like make him part of the gang, but he's like in, and then he's like a plot point, and then he's kind of out. So
I mean, he was
completely out.
He was definitely a key part in. When did he first show up? Was it season 1 or season 2 that he actually showed up for the first
season
time?
2. Season 2.
Yeah.
Was it season 2? Because I mean, he was like the security officer at the school and everything, and then the big brawl happened, and then he got arrested, of course.
Yeah, and he was on house arrest, I think it was.
Yeah.
For all of season 3, so you didn't see him, and then he finally got off. What's it called?
The house arrest.
He got off house arrest. Yeah, this season when he like threw that party or whatever.
And you find out he's living with his or in the guest house for his sister.
Yeah.
Love it. I absolutely loved it. And I mean, the actor looks good. Like he looks pretty damn good.
Yeah, dude, I just can't get. I laugh so hard every single time I see that little braid on his from on the bottom of his beard. I'm just like, what the hell, man?
I'm gonna grow a beard just to do that. I'm just gonna get the one little braid.
Rufus from Street Fighter 4 energy right there.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and go into our next topic, and that is the character development. So out of all the characters for this season, who do you think had the most growth? Ryan, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I'm like, I can string it back that one. For me, it's again just like last year. It's easily a Hawk.
Okay.
He learns that he isn't defined by his image, by the mohawk, by the name, by all that. He gives up karate for a little bit. He's been on this complete struggle till we get to the All Valley, where he can really prove himself that all this grind he's put in has been worth it.
All right. I mean, Hawk is definitely a favorite of mine. And now that he doesn't have the mohawk and everything, it kind of makes me happy because he just looks like a normal kid.
He's Eli Makowitz or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Saj, what about you? Who do you think had like some of the most character or the best character growth?
So Hawk is in second place for all the same reasons Ryan said, but I think Robbie had the biggest had a huge character development moment, especially at the end where he starts like realizing what Cobra Kai is doing to other people and affecting other people that are just bystanders, and then him going to his dad Johnny Lawrence, and like just saying, I try to do everything a certain way and it's not working, and I'm tired of blaming people and getting angry. And then Johnny and Robbie had that hugging moment, father son moment, and I thought Robbie just matured a lot in this entire just this season. He had a lot of ups and downs with what he believes Cobra Kai was and what it's supposed to be. So that's me.
Robbie definitely had that heartfelt moment. Actually had me tearing up a little bit. And Netflix shows, they never really hold back with like bringing the emotions a little bit, and that was one of the moments that actually hit the emotions like hard for me.
Oh yeah, I definitely have to agree with that.
John,
the acting in that scene. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, no, I'm done. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, John, what about you? What do you think on character growth? Who had some of the best character growth this season?
I agree with Saj. It has to be Robbie. For one thing, he's been the wild card of the series, where he's been on both Cobra Kai and trained with the Miyagi-Do people. Sort of the Green Ranger of the series, if you will. And I think the biggest moment is that heartfelt embrace and turning to Johnny Lawrence, to his dad for help, and finally accepting his father for the first time in the series. It has to be Robbie, because that is like a big chunk of what of his like of what he's been as a character. Is like, will he finally like accept his father or tolerate his father at least? But also, it's how he sees himself in Kenny, the little kid he trains throughout the series, and like kind of does make the mistakes of, it makes both the mistakes of Johnny Lawrence and Daniel LaRusso when he's training him, and like not helping him actually channel his anger and actually like understand the difference between like getting back at someone and like just beating the shit out of someone that hurt you when it's no longer fair. And I think to a certain extent, I forget his name, but the baby LaRusso, who's no longer a baby,
Anthony, the little brother.
Yeah, I think he goes through a lot in this show as well. Since he's an actual character instead of just like, I'm a little baby.
He looked with him starting. That's one episode we are going to talk about, because that actually like kind of blindsided me, because of, I don't know if they changed the actor or not. I need to look at that, but it's just different appearance. But we'll dive into that in a second.
I think it's the same guy, which would be impressive, because he looks a lot better than he did in the other season.
It's been a long time since 2018, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I was
Right.
Puberty hits people hard.
So I will say that probably Robbie and Hawk had the best character development and growth as characters.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to throw two wild balls and say John Kreese had character growth, especially at the end.
Oh yeah.
And then this one, it caught me by surprise with how much like we actually got of her this season. But Mrs. LaRusso, how she's helping Samantha out and everything, I was just like, wow.
I have such a crush on her.
I was not expecting like this development. Saj, we're gonna circle back to that, because hold on. But Mrs. LaRusso actually really surprised me this season, because like over the past few seasons we've had her, it's just been like, this karate thing, it's stupid. This whole war is stupid, and we still get that. But now she sees that Samantha's a troubled teen. She's not just a violent person. She's actually dealing with a lot of stuff. So like
go ahead. Same goes for what's her name, the one that started the fight, the main Cobra Kai queen. What was her name?
Vanessa LaRusso?
No, Samantha is Miyagi-Do.
Oh, Cobra Kai. Yeah.
What was her name?
God,
I thought it was Samantha.
No, Samantha is
Sam's the one dating.
Hey, and Nichols.
Yeah, Nichols.
Tori.
Yes.
I got it mixed up. That's my bad.
That's
I'm
what I
tired.
thought.
Yeah.
I was no. I think
Tori.
that's why I was like Tori. Yeah, Tori.
She's helping
definitely.
Tori and
Yeah.
everything. There's so many damn names. Yeah,
Mhm.
when she's helping
Yeah.
Tori and
Yep.
stuff, like we see that Tori is the one that's actually like we got a little glimpse of it in season 2 and in season 3, how she works to provide for her family. Her mom's sick and all that stuff, and that she needs Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai is like her escape to like let out everything. Um, and I think Robbie and Tori as a couple is better than like Tori with Miguel and Robbie with
Oh,
Sam,
totally.
because
Oh, yeah.
they balance each other out, and it shows they're definitely at the very end during the tournament that yes, they balance each other out. Like they started this whole thing to make the others jealous, and now they're like, oh, well, we actually kind of care about each other. So I'm hoping they don't
Yeah,
turn
the
that
whole
into
prom
just
thing.
yeah. I hope they just don't turn it from a fling and then out the window, that it actually stays and kindles as that relationship grows.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm just curious to see where Robbie goes from here, because it seems like he's starting to lose faith in Cobra Kai a little bit.
I think he's starting to lose faith in Terry over John, because John's like actually doing what he should have done with Johnny in the original Karate Kid.
Yeah,
That he should have, not pushed him as hard as he could, with, of course,
Mhm.
John Kreese telling Johnny to sweep the leg and all that stuff in the original Karate Kid, where Terry's telling him, yeah, you got to go brutal. You got to like find that weakness and just absolutely obliterate it. And John's like, no, let him do his thing. Let him
yeah,
fight the way he wants to. He knows what he's doing.
yeah. I think he does that with Tori, actually, because Tori was fighting Sam in the finals, and then accidentally elbowed her in the eye,
Mhm.
and then Terry's like, "Get her in the other eye, or do something that's
Oh,
dirty,"
get
and then that's
disqualified. And
yeah, and then Johnny's like, "Do what you want," like. Fight for yourself. Don't fight for us. And so that was so you're totally right. John Kreese does have in that aspect a little bit of character development right there. Instead of having her cheat, she and have no mercy, to actually like, hey, follow your morals and see what it's on you.
It's still having no mercy, but it's having no mercy without having to cheat.
Yeah, exactly.
it's having no mercy, but with respect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, have honor.
Do we
Yeah.
think that this is the end of the story for John Kreese, or do you think he'll actually come back and team up with Johnny and possibly Danny to take down Terry?
Ooh, that's a good question. I never
That's
thought
the
about
only
that.
way this could go. That's the
Mhm.
only way this can go.
Or is Miguel's father, who is this, big bad person that gets kind of like teased at the end of the season, is he going to be a karate expert? Is he going to
I'm
come
just
in and team up with Cobra Kai?
I'm just curious as to where that storyline of Miguel going to find his dad is going to turn out, because his mom said like, "Oh, the dad doesn't even know that Miguel exists."
When
And
he says that they're going to Mexico, I was like, oh, don't tell me his dad's a cartel member. That's going to
well,
not go well.
That's what they've kind of been implying. I feel like since the
That's
beginning.
what I was. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, he's gonna be a cartel
he's
don. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
some sort of gangster, some kind. Yeah,
The
we've
way I
always been
see,
talking about
I was going to say,
how
the way I
he's
see
like
the next season
bad guy.
opening is Miguel's like in Mexico. We have that whole scene between Miguel's mom and Johnny, and then Johnny like it just shows up at Daniel LaRusso's door, knocks on it, he goes, pack your bags, we're going to Mexico. And like the first part of the season is them in Mexico trying to find Miguel. And of course, Sam's like, oh yeah, you're not going without me. Miguel's my boyfriend.
Yeah.
I'm going. I care about him. The only way he's coming back is if it's me.
And then
he
with
needs
him,
me. Yeah. Go
yeah,
ahead, sorry.
I could see that. And then with the final shot, I believe wasn't it
Kreese getting
LaRusso
arrested, I think,
bringing was
final
it Krieg getting arrested, or was it LaRusso bringing in the person from
Tenzin.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Tenzin?
Yeah.
With,
And they
I
were
could
at the
see it being two plots with Tenzin training the Miyagi-Do / Eagle Fang kids,
Mhm.
while Johnny and Luso go down to Mexico to get back Miguel. That's where I see season 5 opening.
That sounds pretty cool. That sounds like
Yeah.
Do we think someone is going to die? Because we haven't had like any deaths other than Johnny's old friend from high school that had cancer.
Yeah.
Do we?
He died in real life too.
Yeah, he did, and I was like,
Pretty sad.
That was a hard scene to watch.
Oh yeah.
That was a really hard scene to watch. But do we think that someone is actually like going to get killed in the show? Like, do we think that Tenzin's gonna like send someone to kill John Kreese or something while he's in jail?
So I remember.
Could see...
All right, we'll do
you can go,
Ryan.
You can go. Saj.
Yeah, Ryan, go ahead. Yeah.
I could see John. The only person I could see dying is John Kreese. I can only see Kreese dying through Terry Silver's hands.
Okay.
Like, he figures out the legal troubles, and Terry's like, no mercy, karate fight in an abandoned building the way he did to Stingray, but he goes the extra step. He kills Kreese, which will send Johnny over the edge.
I think if something happens to Johnny, or if something happens to John Kreese or Robbie, that's gonna push. That's definitely gonna push Johnny over the edge, or it's honestly gonna push Robbie over the edge. Like, I could see something happening to Johnny again, like how Miguel found him, which, fuck, I really don't want to talk about that scene because that scene fucked me up with just Miguel's reaction. But
that was a rough scene.
When, like, I can see something happening to Johnny, and then Robbie and Miguel join forces, and they're like, all right, we got to put an end to this now, because now the relationship is going good with Miguel's mom. I want that to stick. I don't want that will they, won't they. Like, they're actually dating. They broke it to Miguel. I love that.
They're together, you know?
And I feel like it's a win Johnny deserves. Because Johnny has had a strain of bad luck. And he deserves a win.
a whole 20 years worth of just like hating himself and putting all this pressure on himself.
And he's been putting in the work to better himself as well. Like, this, he is continually like improving and learning. I know that we've said like most of the other characters are the one that show the most growth in this show, but like the point of the show is also that Johnny Lawrence is like a person who is slowly improving with each season. But I think like if Johnny Lawrence becomes like cool guy, like a well-adjusted person, like that's the end of the show, you know? Like, where do we go from there? And I'm really excited to see, like, my favorite parts of the show from the beginning, and it's why the show is so good, is Johnny Lawrence interacting with Diego. So with Miguel, fuck, why did I say Diego? But so the concept that you mentioned of like Johnny Lawrence and Daniel LaRusso teaming up to track down Miguel while Tenzin Chosen is running the Miyagi-Do Eagle Fang alliance, that sounds like a good setup for the next season.
That would be a good season. I feel like a season that doesn't focus around the All Valley or, this feud or whatever between Cobra Kai and like the different dojos. I feel like if we had just the season of just watching these characters grow, like them focusing on school, with like no big fights, and then just have something drastic happen at the end, I feel like that would be a fun season.
I feel like season 2 did that though. 2 didn't really revolve around the All Valley, and at the very end is the hallway or the school fight where Miguel falls off the rail. So I think season 2 did a good job of that, and season 5 would do really well if they did something like that as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think another aspect we're also going to have to see is a big aspect that they showed at the end of the season was sorry, I have a list of the names because I keep forgetting who people are. Terry Silver talking about making Cobra Kai into a chain, and I feel like that is a very different perspective from John Kreese. Like John Kreese wants it to be his thing. He wants like one Cobra Kai, like a specific entity that is all under his control. So, and like a lot of the general thought is that when something becomes a chain, it gets diluted or like corrupted in like the capitalist machine of just being like everything has to be the same. So I think it will be interesting to see what the kids in Cobra Kai feel about when new Cobra Kais pop up in different areas around town or in the state or whatever. And I think that's going to be an interesting aspect too.
I want to add on top of that one.
And I'll add on top of you.
Yeah.
I think with that, one of the things that John Kreese really wanted of Cobra Kai was that pure elite squad of kids, like the top of the top in every way, shape, and form. And with it being franchised out now, how Silvers wants it with just anybody being in Cobra Kai. He just wants it as a brand, t-shirts, everything, running the valley, basically. I think that will really dilute and upset Kreese by being like, it's no longer the best is everyone now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I mean,
And,
like, their
and
motto is strike first, strike fast, no mercy.
Mm-hmm.
strike hard, yeah.
Oh, is it strike hard?
Yeah, strike first, strike hard, no mercy.
Oh, that's right. I always want to say fast. I don't know why.
I thought it was strike fast.
I'm a
as well.
disgrace to my
But
sensei.
no, you're good. You're good. What I wanted to bring up was, especially with that, them becoming a chain. You have to remember that now Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang can no longer exist. They lost the bet. So now that Cobra Kai is going to be the only martial arts like dojos to go to after the tournament.
They did lose the bet. I wanted to say because Eli won his round against Robbie, but Sam losing against Tori, that did knock him out because I thought they were in a stalemate.
Well, the show also ends with Daniel LaRusso being like, you know what, I'm not gonna respect this bet with people who never give me respect, so I'm just gonna do it anyway.
We also get the scene of Tori seeing Terry Silver sliding money to the ref after she goes back inside too.
Yeah.
So she's probably going to come forward and be like, no, like it was rigged from the start.
She's definitely the type of person that does not accept winning at any cost. She accepts winning on an actual one.
Yeah, having a real win. Yeah.
A win where the ref is paid off is not an actual win to her. So
well, and she also promised Sam's mom, I forget her name, but that she would fight fairly.
Yes.
And clearly, no, I think
the mom is Amanda LaRusso.
Amanda, yeah, and Amanda's like, just I'm not telling you to back down. I'm telling you to play by the rules. And after Tori promised that she wouldn't, and then she sees that whole deal go down. I think she's gonna come out and say, listen, I didn't win this fairly, so the bet's off. And I mean I think that's like the only thing that could happen if Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fan are gonna stay around.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's a lot of good points. There's a lot of directions this show could go. I'm curious.
I know. I was really curious to see if Miguel did fight it, who would win against him and Eli. I felt a little bit robbed that Miguel just left. I will say that.
I was also excited to see a Miguel Hawk fight.
I was happy Miguel left.
Same.
Yeah,
I thought that was the best choice for his character because one, definitely when he went for that spinning kick, I thought it was going to be way worse than what it was.
Yeah. I
thought he was yelling, man.
The sound editor put a real big crack in there, that wasn't a sprain. That sounded like something broke.
Well,
like an old injury, yeah.
So where I thought that scene was going after he yelled for Sensei, and like Johnny like rushes to his side and everything, I thought it was gonna like go to they were in the back room. He's got like the ice pack and like an IV hooked up to him because he like passed out. So they're like, all right, we got to get him hydrated. I thought that's when we were gonna get the like actual closure between him and Johnny about the night Johnny was drunk and called him Robbie.
Yeah,
Oh,
that tore him, man.
Dude, that
You could
reaction
see
broke me. I was like,
you
fuck.
you can see Miguel up to that point, and then him afterwards, and it's a completely different character. Like he's just questioning everything and what side who's on what side, and Miguel is just like a different character after that scene that you're talking about. And it was a heartbreaking scene. It absolutely was.
This season didn't pull any punches. No pun intended.
No, they didn't.
No pun intended. It did not pull any punches with the emotions, because we got quite a few, like as much laughs as we got. I think we got the emotional moments as well.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
You know, he was bummed out that we couldn't get Hawk and Miguel fight. But for me, that was all right because we got to see Samantha and Tori fight, that's a huge, awesome fight to me. Like
that was a great fight.
What was a really great fight was also Robbie and Eli. That had such
awesome.
That had like such good fight choreography. Like I don't even know how they did it. It was so good. And we made a joke on the Cross Media show about Matrix Resurrections. We're like, dude, the fight scenes in Cobra Kai are better choreographed than the Matrix.
And Saj bringing that up, it's time for my take, guys. I will say this. It's going on record. It's on my Twitter. I will pin this tweet tonight. That the fight scenes and the way it is shot in Cobra Kai is so much better than it is in Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi, ooh, that's some fighting words
Shang-Chi
right there.
Has everyone always says, like, oh yeah, the fights are so smooth, and everything. There's so many jump shots. Like I went back and watched it after watching Cobra Kai. I was like, all right, I want to make sure, because I enjoy Shang-Chi. I don't think it's a bad film or anything. I think it's a great, Marvel movie. But after watching the fight scenes in Cobra Kai for this season, I was like, oh yeah.
I think I can agree with you, man. Like I think in Shang-Chi they used a lot of body doubles and like to do all the actual tricks and dangerous stuff. In Cobra Kai, you could tell it was those actors that actually had to
tweeted, or they put a post out on Twitter saying that the fights and like the stunts and everything in Cobra Kai are real. They're actually doing all of these moves. Like it's not like there's no like wires or anything to them. It's just them. It's these kids learned all of these moves, and I'm like, that's why I agree with artist. That's fucking awesome.
That's why I agree with you with the whole Shang-Chi thing. It's really not that bad of a take. Especially that fight I was just talking about with Hawk and Robbie. It was just like you could tell because the shots weren't jumping around. It was a one shot. And you can see that they were actually doing these cool flippy tricks they were doing them themselves on top of having to act and to do it in such a short amount of time. It's insane. It's incredible. They really knocked it out of the park this time.
I think for me, something that I loved about the Samantha Tori fight is that we just don't, in a lot of these media about like martial arts competitions, we don't get to see too often like fights between women against other women. And I know is the trope of like, oh, there's two women characters in a series, they have to butt heads against each other. But I think it is cool to get like a fight between those two and like have all of the emotion of like their different lifestyles going into that fight, and when they fight each other, I really enjoy like that diversity, like the fact that Cobra Kai is based on like a iconic like 80s film that like your dad watched as a kid, and like we have so many like people of color and women in this show is great, and it doesn't feel like it's for social points. Like there are actual, like a big theme of the show is like Johnny Lawrence unlearning his toxic masculinity, as well as Daniel LaRusso learning that like sometimes you can be as nice as you want to a person. Sometimes you just got to punch someone in the face to shut them up. And this show does a great job of like showing the pros and cons to every aspect, and how there's points where either side like is the right way to go. It's taking the concept of yin and yang and really putting it into the DNA of the show as it's written, as well as in the how their combat works.
And I will say that one of the things that like really, I don't know why it made me chuckle so much, but when they bring in the girl to Eagle Fang and she goes, "Oh, my pronouns are," and she says her pronouns, and he goes, "No, the only pronouns in this dojo are sensei," and he says something else. I don't
Sensei and student.
Sensei and
Yep.
student. I cackled because like, and it's not even like as a like a disrespect thing. It's just because Johnny doesn't know that like that's the thing, and that separates the generation of, you know, when Johnny was in high school versus where the kids are now in high school.
It's so funny. Like that's what I was about to bring up. Is like I can't get over how funny it is that Johnny is so out of touch with like modern technology and modern terms. Like there was this one moment where like Miguel's like, "Okay, do what I told you." He's like, "Yeah, I'll be awake," and he's like, "No, I mean just be woke." And that made me laugh a lot. And then also like at one point, what's his girlfriend's name?
Who?
Miguel's mom. Miguel's mom.
Oh,
Vanessa Rubio, I believe.
Okay.
No, Carmen Diaz. Carmen
Carmen,
Diaz.
yeah.
Carmen. Yeah, Carmen was like, "Oh yeah, I saw Miguel go into an Uber," and Johnny's like, "What's an Uber?" And she's like, "It's kind of like a taxi." And like, it's just so funny how Johnny just doesn't understand all the modern terms and like what he doesn't. I mean, he doesn't even really have a phone. Like, it's pretty funny.
One of my favorite moments where it was just showing how he is so stuck in the 80s is when Miguel was hanging out with LaRusso and like seeing the softer side of the 80s basically. And when they're in the car talking, it's like, no, there's nothing rad about Chicago.
He's like, "Why did you tell me about Chicago?" He's like, "What's in Chicago?" He's like, "No, the band Chicago."
There's a lot of pop culture references like that are like trying to show home back to the 80s because like yes, we have Daniel who is in the modern times. I mean, he owns his own company, like he has multiple, you know, like web pages and stuff like that. He uses technology. Look at his house. And then we have Johnny who's, you know, still kind of in that rundown little apartment. And like he finally got a flat screen TV. What, in the second season, or was it the first season that he gets that?
The first season he gets a
First season, because doesn't
Then he learns
he
about
gets thrown
Facebook in
through it?
season 2, and that's when he
And
messages Allie.
his laptop looks like it's from like 2009 and it's running Windows XP.
Do you remember he goes into the pawn shop and he's like, "Yeah, dude, my laptop stopped working. It's out of battery." And the guy's like, "Why don't you just charge it? Do you have the cable?" He's like, "You said it was wireless." I'm just like, this is so great.
William Zabka does such a damn good job at where he's at now. Like he if you told me that like he wasn't acting during these and he just didn't know this stuff, I wouldn't be surprised. That's how good of a job he does.
Yeah. I also want to mention that it's hilarious that he breaks a TV every season, and you can just like every season he has to break its thing and has to get a new
He didn't
TV.
break the TV this season though.
He did it towards like the middle. I don't remember what happened, but he does.
Oh, it's during his episode where Miguel comes in and finds him drunk.
Yeah, when he was
it is
drunk,
broken.
it looks like
Yeah.
he looks like he roundhouse kicked it.
He breaks the CRV he has, gets a new one, and then fights Daniel LaRusso. It breaks, and then he gets another one, and then he gets mauled by Carmen, and when they're hooking up, they go against the TV, break it again, and then when and then this time and it went right when Miguel's in there, and when he was wasted. So I think that's a hilarious ongoing joke that people don't pay attention to or didn't know it was there.
So before we go into our next topic, I have one topic that's not on the show doc. I'm just gonna blindside you guys with this one.
Oh, great.
Wait, while we're still talking characters, there's one thing I want to just ask everybody about before we get into your blindside topic here, Rich.
I swear, if you take my blindside right now, because I can kind of see it in your eyes.
I don't think I am.
All right.
I want to talk about Anthony LaRusso. I want to talk about the kid.
Okay, that's
yeah.
that's not my blindside. Okay.
Yes.
Because I hated him this whole season. I felt like he got what he deserved. I felt he deserved to get his teeth knocked down his throat.
Yeah,
He-
I
he
feel like
does.
he did grow a little bit at the end though when he went to apologize to the kid, and then the kid beat the shit out of him in the locker room.
Fucking Kenny, dude.
There's some
I do
things
not
that
like
you
that
just
character.
can't.
You don't
See,
like Kenny? I love
I
Kenny.
liked Kenny.
Dude, Kenny's
See,
a
I
little
feel for
badass.
Kenny. See, I feel I felt for Kenny in the beginning, but then when he went back and started punching Anthony, even though he deserved it a little bit, Kenny just a lot of it, whatever. But Kenny probably shouldn't have gone that far because he like basically threatened to ruin his entire high school period. And I'm like,
Well,
you
that's
know,
when
let
Robbie kinda
bygones be
steps in,
bygones.
and Robbie's like, dude, no, this isn't the path that your brother would
No.
want you on. And that's where we kind of see a big jump for Robbie's character as well.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like that's kind of the point of Kenny's character is showing how these cycles of violence keep happening over and over again. Where like for a while, like that was Hawk after joining Cobra Kai, he became that kind of a character to some of his own friends. And like it's from John Kreese to Johnny Lawrence, and then from Johnny Lawrence to Hawk, and then
Yeah, this show is very much about like the cycle of bullying and how and you know someone getting bullied when they were younger to become more of a bully themselves when they are able to defend themselves. So yeah, it's very much a cycle about bullying, and it's a big message in the show.
But that library
And-
chase scene. Can we talk about the library chase scene?
Oh, it's so good.
Yes.
Lights off, like John Wick up in here.
Like,
it was
that turned
great.
into like
Yes.
a mild
Yeah.
horror action like
Yeah.
sequence because it's like, where the fuck is this kid gonna pop out next?
Yep.
Assassin's Creed style.
I thought his character
This-
was great, and
Another scene I want to talk about that kind of ties into this is there's the episode where Johnny Lawrence is trying to get Daniel LaRusso to like just like pop off to like aren't you tired of being nice? Don't you just want to go ape
no,
shit?
No, John, you're taking my blind
Oh.
side.
No, never mind. Yeah, that was cool. Anyway, continue with what you guys are talking about.
Fuck!
My only problem with Anthony in this season is we didn't really see him in all the other ones. So for him to be
crack jokes, like he just like
for
had a
him to
smartass
be
comment.
such a bully though was like felt weird. It
Okay,
felt like a big jump from like
What the
Is-
fuck?
Did anyone look up whether it's the same character
I
in
did
all three?
not. I have
it is
Cobra Kai.
it's him.
Wow,
It's
he
him.
got in shape.
Yeah, he lost a lot of weight, dude. Good on
Oh
him.
right, I forgot he used to be fat.
Oh, they even make a joke
wow.
about it because they're like, Johnny he says something and he goes, yeah, it's called a growth spurt. It was just like, damn. No, I just got an
remember-
ad for McDonald's and it was Billy Zabka on the ad. I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Great.
They listen, man.
They know.
They know.
So,
No, I think last season he was skinny, and this season he was a grown up or a teenager, as opposed because he used to be really young
he
at
was
the beginning of the show.
in the beginning, he was
was.
pudgy for the first few seasons, and then this season he was.
They even
I
did-
remember
they even-
in a couple shots of last season he wasn't as big as he used to be, but in this one he's like tall.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
getting
he
older.
grew up.
He's getting older. He's they're in 8th grade in this episode or in this season. So they're going to high school. So yeah, it
yeah.
would be the normal time for kids
It
that
would be
age to start
ninth
hitting
grade.
puberty.
I don't
Yeah.
know how old the actor is, but
I just they even made a joke about how pudgy he was in the first season when Amanda and all of them were at like this buffet or whatever, and then she had to yell at Lucas saying, "Don't eat the butter sauce" or whatever during when it was like lobster, and he's like, "Oh man."
All right, so now it's time for my blind side, John.
sorry, I got
In this
blindsided.
season, do you think we saw a little bit of Johnny in Daniel and a little bit of Daniel in Johnny?
Oh, absolutely, dude. They
100%.
had to. I mean, they were working together for a while, and then they trained each other for a day as opposing dojos, and no, there's no doubt that they rubbed off on each other during that time.
Like,
I mean, Okay, if I go, Rich?
Yeah, that's why I stopped. I was like, go.
Alright. I think you can really see it just through the way they began to train and the way all that, and just the way I think it is shown the best is by the kids they trained.
Mm-hmm.
When you watch Hawk and Sam in the finals, they fight using all techniques they learned from all sides. Be that Cobra Kai, Eagle Fang, or Miyagi-Do, they take everything they learned and roll with it. And I think that watching that is what showed both Johnny and Uso that they can coexist in this karate space and learn a little bit from each other, because they're great offense means nothing without a great defense, and great defense means nothing without a great offense. And that's what I think you could see throughout that, and you could see it in their trainings.
I think one of the biggest moments in the entire season is when when Daniel asked Johnny to be a co sensei for Sammy's fight, and then at one point Daniel's just like, "All right, you have all these skills that we got from everybody. Go and attack her and beat her," and her being Tori. So they definitely are, by the end of the season, they definitely start to think more similarly, and I think that's going to really show off in season 5, which will be nice.
John?
I think for me, the moment I was about to bring up was when Anthony, that's the kid's name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Anthony LaRusso is acting up, and there's the bit with the child psychologist, and they're trying to discipline him. Daniel LaRusso is doing his typical thing of like trying to explain, trying to be a gentle parent, grounding them and explaining why they're grounded and stuff, and then he catches him with some kind of tablet computer and being like, "Oh, it doesn't even have any games on it, it's not a big deal." And then he breaks the thing on his knee, and then he tries to apologize, and then Daniel just goes, "Quiet!"
Yeah.
I think to me that is like one of the biggest examples, because like most of the series, Johnny Lawrence, maybe Kreese are the only people that ever shout quiet like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was a big example of like Daniel incorporating like an aggressive lifestyle into, because he kind of lets people walk all over him sometimes, or is just too afraid of conflict. And that's kind of reflecting on like was his problem at some parts in the original Karate Kid movies as well. So I thought that was something that was really cool.
Which, quick little fun fact, the child psychologist that was there like talking to Amanda and Daniel is actually Ralph Macchio's daughter.
Oh,
really?
Wow.
Okay.
I found that out on
Neat.
Twitter because I follow Cobra Kai, and they retweeted something that she posted, and it was Macchio, and I looked at it, and then she had a post of, "Oh yeah, the best dad in the world," and it's Ralph Macchio. I was like, "Oh, neat."
That's
I
funny.
have one more moment that shows it. And it's when he is talking at the end at the grave of Mr. Miyagi. And he's like, "Your teachings have been a blessing, all this, but I cannot hold a world to a man who wouldn't as well. I need to finish the fight," basically. And that's a very Johnny thing to do, is be
That
like,
was a moment.
Well, I mean, I think he straight up says only defense doesn't work, or something along those lines.
Yeah, he's like, "It can't work here. This is no longer about scoring points. This is about ending it all."
Yeah. So I feel like the next season might be the final season. The way
It should be. It's getting long in the tooth. Those kids are aging pretty fast. I would finish it soon.
I would say, if not finishing it with season 5, do like a season 5 part 1 and 5 part 2, kind of like what they did with Lucifer.
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense, because it doesn't make sense to have an entire season of what we were describing of like Johnny and Daniel hunting Miguel in Mexico while Cobra Kai and the Miyagi Fang Karate are doing their training. That sounds like a part 1 aspect, and then part 2 is like the final showdown between all the factions.
So
Do it Mortal Kombat style.
Yes.
I'm rocking the Mortal Kombat shirt tonight.
Just Terry Silver's
Terry
just sitting in a giant iron throne type deal, Shao Kahn style.
Terry Lawrence would make a great Shao Kahn. So before we start to, I'll give my like moment that like you kind of definitely see the Johnny Lawrence side of Daniel LaRusso. And then after that, Ryan, I'll let you do the ad break before we go into some of our final topics before wrapping up. The moment where Terry is talking to Danny and he's like, oh yeah, there's always been like a little bit of rage inside you. Like even when I trained you, which, you know, call back to Karate Kid 3 when Daniel was in Cobra Kai. Like,
I need to watch them.
You see his fist start to shake and like he's trying to hold back all the rage because he wants to punch that fucker in the face. He wants to straight up lay out.
Seriously, fuck that guy though.
Dude, Terry Silver's a douche. He is such a douche.
Dude, and I'm saying he's terrifying, dude. He just goes mad, and he's like this tall, evil looking dude. It's just like, oh my god.
A big part, one of the coolest parts of the series is when he finally like breaks bad and like ties his hair back in a ponytail like in the Karate Kid 3 movie. And then he does the exact smile that he did in that movie all the time where they like he does the exact smile. I was like, oh, and then I just really enjoyed how he was like, yeah, I had a cocaine problem. That's why I was like so messed up to like fucking kids. And it like makes that cartoonish absurd movie feel like believable. Like, oh yeah, guy.
It's like, he was completely. Yeah, he's like, dude, he was spun out the entire movie. You know.
The way they like start to characterize as John Kreese and Terry Silver as Vietnam veterans that are still suffering from PTSD, and that's why they're so crazy about karate and about teaching kids how to defend themselves while just having a way to like be aggressive, like makes some of the more crazier stuff in these shows feel really believable, and I really enjoy that.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, so let's go ahead and go into a quick ad break. Ryan, go ahead and take it away.
This episode is brought to you by Buzzsprout. Podcasting isn't hard when you have the right partners, which is why we've partnered up with Buzzsprout to help you succeed. Buzzsprout gets your shows on every major podcast platform. So join over 100,000 podcasters already using Buzzsprout to get their message out to the world. If you're looking for a podcast website, audio players that you can drop into other websites, detailed analytics to see how people are listening, tools to promote your episodes, and more, follow the link in the description below. Let Buzzsprout know we sent you. Get a $20 Amazon gift card if you sign up using a paid plan and help support our show. Now back to the show.
All right. So we have two more topics we're going to go into before we start doing plugs and stuff. And the first one is, what was the big gasp moment? This is another blind side I'm going to do. The big gasp moment. So, like, you know, for season 1, it was, you know, the All Valley tournament, of course. Season 2, Miguel falling and, you know, breaking his back. Season 3, I would say when everyone shows up at the house and they have, like, the big brawl. What was season 4's big gasp moment for you? Ryan, I'll start with you. We'll go to Saj, to John, to me.
Sounds good. For me, it's easily Hawk one in the All Valley. I did not see that coming. That fight felt like it could go. I thought, oh, Robbie's gonna fucking sweep the floor with him. He is on a fucking power trip right now. He's feeling himself. Especially when he throws off the gi, this fucking shirtless, ready to kill. I'm like, oh, it's over for Hawk.
And he's shredded, dude.
Yeah,
he's fucking shredded.
They're both shredded. But to see him get that final blow and win it was amazing. After such a long fought fight in the sudden death, great.
Yeah, I mean, like that fight where it went over the 3 minutes they had, and every single punch and kick that was thrown was just so well, like, again, just the choreography of it. It was just so good. It was just amazing. So that, I probably would agree with you. That's one of my biggest moments as well.
All right, John, what about you?
For me, I mean, when I think of biggest gasp moment, it has to be when we're sitting down. We're like, all right, it's gonna be friend versus friend, Miguel versus Hawk. Two of the big best buddies. It's like when you're watching like the Naruto fight, and it's like two friend characters like trying to like go at each other as hard as they can, and then you're like, all right, Miguel's about to do a spinning kick, and then you hear that sound and he just collapses instantly, and the whole match grinds to a halt. I mean, I screamed out loud, like I was like, "Oh no!" Like I was frightened for this child. That is like just objectively the gasp moment. Like I can't. I think the other ones are good, but for me, that was the moment when I was like the most scared for someone in the show.
That was
I
my
thought it was
favorite
going to
moment.
end with Miguel can't fight anymore. I thought that's how that was going to end.
I thought it was going to be he just couldn't fight anymore. He couldn't walk anymore. I thought he was like
I
done.
thought he
his
was.
spine was gone.
I thought he was in a wheel. He would be in a wheelchair or something.
I thought he would be able to walk, but like the doctor was going to be like, you cannot do martial arts ever again. It could make you never be able to walk again. I thought that's where it was going to end, and like Miguel would no longer be a fighter in the show for a second, but then it's just like, I just got to rest it off. It's just, I just pulled the muscle.
I actually had one more thing one more moment that I wanted to say was one of my gasp moments, and that was when they made Robbie and Kenny fight, and Robbie completely like just destroying this kid, like just the kick in the face, and everyone was like, I thought that was one of my big gasp moments as well.
He wiped the floor with Kenny.
He just like, oh my god, it was such a cringe and like as an intense moment because he was just
not like emotional cringe, like that looks like it hurts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, even the crowd in the show. Yeah, I felt that kick. Yeah, right in the nose.
All right.
So like in fighting games, whenever you're like training with someone and they're like teaching you how the moves work and stuff, that is how it feels like when you fight the guy you go to locals with who like teaches you how to play the game, and he's like, "This is a tournament now. I'm sorry," and then you're like, "Oh, I just got perfected." Right? This guy has forgotten more about this game than I've learned so far. Because you can see that Robbie does not like doing this. He's like, I have to do this. Like, it's not even like a Cobra Kai thing. It is I'm just doing what I'm doing, and this kid is just like, their levels are just so far apart that they don't match. But
he's like,
still...
I just want to win the All Valley. I want to be that champion.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, he even says to Daniel LaRusso because Daniel LaRusso and him talk, and he's like, "Why are you using my moves?" And he's like, "It doesn't matter. I won. It doesn't matter who uses what. I won."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's all. That's all. Robbie really wants is he just wants to win.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So we're going into our final thoughts for everything. I would say, tell me where you would put this on the ranking. Which season was the best? Which season has been the weakest? Ryan, go ahead and kick us off.
I think this is definitely in the middle. I would go 3, 4, 2, 1. But it's hard to rate 1 and 2 because they were YouTube productions, way less money getting pumped in, all that kind of thing.
But even with that, still very solid.
Extremely solid. Extremely solid. Especially season 2. But I thought this was just a little bit less hype than last season. But other than that, I thought it was fantastic. Definitely. If you are into Cobra Kai, watch it. It's amazing.
Now, do you think the hype isn't as strong because this was, Netflix picking up Cobra Kai to save it, to bring it over to a new platform with season 3? Because at season 2, we thought it was done because it went off the air for 2 years, I think is what it was. That was the gap.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh, no, I just thought the story was more hype then.
Okay. That's fair.
I just think there's moments in this one that drag. Like I don't care anything about Anthony LaRusso. I wish he wasn't a part of the plot. And Kenny, I wish we learned about Kenny in a different way. I think that would have been better. And
I felt for Kenny.
Oh, I definitely feel for him, but I thought that was a weird subplot that felt like it didn't need to be there. And then there's just moments where like there's infighting between Danny and Johnny that I just didn't feel like needed to happen. Those were just some of my big plots. So like this is happening just so the plot has something to do at the moment.
Yeah.
But I do think the adding of a new villain helped it out a lot. I think seeing the walls break down with Kreese and him being like, fight your way and everything made the season very hype. And of course having the All Valley in it makes it hype.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Saj, what about you?
So my ranking would be the top is 2, 3, 4, 1. So I don't know. I just absolutely adored season 2. It had that hallway fight. It had Miguel falling. It had the introduction of Stingray. It had what else did it have? It just had everything in my opinion. So season 4, I think again, like what Ryan said, it's mostly about hype, and the All Valley tournament was great, but it wasn't a season catcher for me. So
now, quick question, and just remind me. Season 2 is where John Kreese like finally shows up and like actually becomes a huge part, or was that just the end of season 2?
End of season two.
that
It's
yeah.
the last shot.
That's the last shot is him
Okay.
walking through the dojo doors, I believe.
Because like I know there's like the flashbacks and everything of like the scene between Johnny and Kreese, and then Mr. Miyagi pretty much laying Kreese out.
Yeah. Kreese takes over the dojo at the beginning of season 3, and then towards the last third of season 3 is when
he kicks Johnny out.
Yeah, and
Okay.
Eagle Fang karate becomes a thing.
All right, and John, what about you? Where's your ranking for the season?
I mean, it's hard to put this over the seasons where like a massive school brawl happens and you see like the I forget what the little Asian kid is, but he's like a freshman and he's like barely 5 feet tall and he's like chopping people, and then a huge kid just like decks him out. And then the house brawl where they just like invade the LaRusso's home and just start another fight and throw someone through a window.
I love those types of fights, dude, because they're ridiculous, but they're so good.
Something I'm really sad this season was missing was I thought we were about to get it at the drive-in. I'm like, a drive-in fight? Oh, come on now. That's gonna be dope as hell.
That'd be fun, yeah.
His name is Nathaniel, by the way.
Nathaniel?
No, Nathaniel. The actor's name is Nathaniel.
All right,
his character in the show is Nathaniel.
Nice.
Who is this?
He's the little freshman Asian kid.
Yeah.
The one that barely looks like he's out of middle school in season 2 or 3.
The one with the braces and the glasses really, okay.
So like obviously I think 3 and 4 are just kind of like ramping up seasons, because like at the end of season 2 and in the middle of season 3, like the status quo gets so shifted around. This is a character development season, and for that I do really like it as that. For that reason I kind of like it as, it's hard for me to judge things because like I feel like the show has just been an upward climb in terms of like writing and development, so I'm more into that than whether or not what the coolest fight scene is personally. So I guess I do think of this as my favorite, but I can definitely see why it isn't someone's, because I mean, a school fight and a house fight are pretty cool. I think the reason why we couldn't get, and why they didn't have the drive-in brawl, is because at some point, like, cops are going to get involved if kids keep starting these street gang fights between karate tournaments. Like, at what point does extracurriculars turn into like, this is just organized gang activity up in public?
Yeah, pretty much.
For me, like I feel like my ranking is probably going to be a little bit different, but it is season 4, 2, 3, then 1. 1 being the opening season, I feel like it is the weakest because, like, they're just starting out, they're revamping, something that was done in the 80s. It's kind of hard to make that like just a spectacular season. Where season 2, like they built it. And I feel like the second season for most shows is where it really is sometimes the best. Big example, Arrow. Second season of Arrow is by far the best season.
Dude, the second season of Arrow is one of the best comic book seasons ever of like any comic book show.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Never watched it. Could not get into the Arrowverse.
I've
That's fine.
never
We'll have
seen
that
a
conversation
CW
later.
show.
But I feel like, season 2 it's good and it has a right to be the second best. And I feel like with where we've gotten the characters and everything, where they're at this point, how much they've grown, and kind of the downfall of certain characters. Like we see Sam kind of spiral out of control. She freaks out anytime Tori's around. And like she's kind of turned into, pardon my French, but she's kind of a bitch this season until the very end, and it's like, oh, okay, like yeah,
there's a reason why she's the first, like, of the group, obviously not counting Robbie, but she's the first Miyagi-Do person to like pick up Johnny Lawrence aggressive style, is because she has a lot of anger that she wants to just like shove into Tori and just like beat the shit out of her.
To be fair, she was attacked with weapons in her own home.
True.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
yeah,
would want to
she
beat the shit out of a person who jumped me
she's
in
got
my own
scars.
house with weapons.
She's got scars from the
school fight.
studded little thing. Yeah, the school
brass
fight, the
knuckles.
studded,
Yeah.
studded knuckles.
So I will say that like season 4, just by character development alone for the characters and everything we see, and just like the fights and the choreography, that makes it the best season in my books. So that's why it's book number 1. That's why season 2 is number 2. Because season 3, like it just felt a little like it was good. I was happy it was back. I love Cobra Kai, but it just felt a little.
It's a training montage because
Yeah.
Miguel has to learn how to walk again and then learn how to fight. So like
And
it's
with him
gonna
not being
naturally be a slow
as
season.
big of a part in that season because he is hospitalized. He's in the hospital bed. That's where I feel like it kind of took away because Miguel is the main character in my opinion. It's not
Johnny and Miguel. I think both are the main protagonists. Yeah.
so. But with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and go into plugs. Hey Ryan, my man, Sensei Ryan, where can people find you?
People can find me on Twitter at RyanDeLion3055 for wherever and whatever I'm up to on this wild world of the internet.
All right. Hey Saj, where can people find you?
You can find me at Saj and SquarePants on Twitter and Instagram and all that, and then also you'll find me on multiple episodes of the Cross Media Show. So
Hell yeah. Hey John, my fighting game expert man, where can people find you?
You can find me on my Twitter at Noisy Shark. If I ever actually get some videos done, I will post links to them over there.
All right. And of course, you can always find me at Rich Dolphus or Stats on Stats Lit on Twitter, where I will be posting, of course, my amazing hot takes that will cause, just straight up chaos because that's just me. So, but with that being said, from all of us here at the Cross Media Show, this has been the Cobra Kai Season 4 review. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for the Halo Infinite review. Now, Ryan, are you guys just discussing the campaign, or are you going over multiplayer aspects as well?
Everything. We're diving deep into Halo.
Hell yes.
I might call in.
And then, of course, you have the Attack on Titan on Thursday. Is that?
Yep.
All right. So please be sure to tune back in because we have some amazing shows this week. But I hope you all have a wonderful evening, afternoon, or day whenever you're listening to this.